Hello everyone and welcome to the next video on reading comprehension. So what we will discuss today is mentioned here eclectic reading. But as we do every time, before moving to the next video, we'll talk about what we have done in the last few videos of reading comprehension. So we started off with the basics of reading comprehension, or I would say intro to reading comprehension, wherein we discussed about types of questions as well. Post that we went into how to approach the passages and how to approach the questions, wherein we discussed about the elimination technique as well. Today, and as I was discussing again and again, that we have to cultivate diverse reading habits. When I'm talking about diverse reading habit, as I always say, that there is no such rule that cat will ask from those particular genre. So they can go ahead and ask from any of the genre, be it polity, sociology, psychology for that matter. So one has to be equipped with these skills. And that's what my session is today, eclectic reading. Before starting eclectic reading, we have to understand what is the meaning of the word eclectic. Eclectic means the broad area of belief or reading, or the diverse area of reading or a belief. That is what the eclectic is all about. In short, eclectic का मतलब होता है diverse. So eclectic reading, which means diverse reading, right? And what I will do in this particular video, I have taken some of the passages from 2-3 different topics, and from today till the end of reading comprehension module, when I'm saying today, from this video. So from this video till the end of the reading comprehension module, we will talk about different topics, how to approach, and the questions related to that. So let's start. The first thing which I am talking today is the genres from which CAT basically asked questions, right? And some of them are, so these are some of the genres which, if I talk about last 6 years, 7 years paper, I have seen that these are all those major areas from where they take the passages. तो मैं कई बार बोलता हूं कि आपको इन सबसे कंफर्टेबल होना पड़ेगा, और वो किस तरीके से होना पड़ेगा मैं मेरे नेक्स्ट वीडियो के अंदर बताऊंगा, क्योंकि हम जब जो मेरा पहला वीडियो के अंदर कंसर्न था कि इट्स नॉट ओनली वर्बल जो हमें पढ़ना है सर, और वर्बल के अंदर भी सिर्फ रीडिंग कॉम्प्रिहेंशन नहीं है, हमारे पास बहुत चीजें हैं करने के लिए. सो हाउ विल वी कवर दीज ऑल जॉनर्स व्हिच यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, and I will talk about this in my next video. So the economics, society and culture. After that, this is one of the favorite topic when I'm talking about is sociology. Sociology के अंदर अगर आप आगे देखेंगे, arts and literature आते हैं topics, but छोटे passages generally those 2 passages इसके अंदर से आते हैं. But this is one of the thing from where CAT basically takes the passages. Biology. When I'm saying biology, they probably sometime initiate the topics on genetic and engineering or a microbiology or something kind of that, right? That is one of the things which they ask. Technology, artificial intelligence पे आप पैसेज एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हैं, मशीन लर्निंग, डीप लर्निंग में आप पैसेज एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हैं. How artificial intelligence will shape the future in, let's say, the coming next 10 years, and what the role of AI will be there on, let's say, human evolution. All these things can be discussed about. Political science, one of the very important genre on which CAT asks the questions. That's their favorite, right? So you can expect questions on political science as well. Then is environmental studies. So generally, if I talk about this, environmental studies and political science, ये 2 टॉपिक ऐसे हैं जिसपे आपको सबसे ज्यादा पैसेजेस देखने को मिलेंगे. And third on the list is business, and then is philosophy. So these are some of the 9 genres which I have mentioned here, जहां पर आपको CAT के अंदर क्वेश्चंस देखने को मिल सकते हैं, पैसेजेस देखने को मिल सकते हैं. So please take the screenshot, and from now onwards, whenever I'm saying whenever you are trying to read the articles, your articles should revolve around this. So the first genre which I am taking is philosophy, right? What exactly philosophy क्या आएगा, किस तरीके से आएगा? So the first thing is philosophy. Let's see the passages related to philosophy. This is slightly long passage which I have taken. Now, when I am taking these passages, there is a reason behind it, जो मैं आपको पिछले कुछ वीडियोस के अंदर भी बात कर रहा हूं that there are some of the passages which I have taken that how to approach the passages, what passages to see, what to not, passages के अंदर क्या क्या information देखना चाहिए. Then when we move on to how to approach the questions, we talked about elimination technique. और अभी जो मैं बात कर रहा हूं शायद इसके अंदर पैसेजेस बड़े होंगे. हमने रिटेंशन की जैसे बात करी थी. मैं चाहता हूं कि आप यू शुड बी कंफर्टेबल विद दिस डाइवर्स जॉनर, इसलिए आई एम टेकिंग स्लाइटली लॉन्गर पैसेजेस देन व्हाट यू कैन एक्सपेक्ट इन कैट एग्जाम, बिकॉज इट विल हेल्प यू टू बिल्ड दैट affinity towards these passages, right? So this is what the passage is all about. I'm just giving you the screenshot first of all. So there are 2 slides here, so I'll give you close to around, so I will change the slide as per the timer. I will give you exactly, or what you can do is you can just pause the video, go through the passage and take at least 8 minutes to go through the passage, and then we will start discussing, and your time starts now. Okay, I'm sure you must have gone through the passages. आपने वो दोनों स्लाइड्स पढ़ ली होंगी और वो पैसेजेस को पढ़ लिया होगा पूरा. And I'm sure कि क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करने के लिए ज्यादा जल्दबाजी नहीं की होगी. And so that I could explain क्या क्या चीजें इंपॉर्टेंट थी क्या नहीं थी. But okay, that's okay if you have tried to attempt it. That's good. Let's start. So the passage was on philosophy. So what I'll be doing is we will take the main idea. We will try to take the main idea out of it. We'll see what exactly this passage is talking about, and if there are any unnecessary information or there is more of a redundancy, we'll try to skip all those things, right? So let's see what it is saying. The conception of life and the world, which we call philosophical, are a product of 2 factors. So they are talking about 2 things here. Just a minute. So they are talking about 2 things: the conception of life and the world. So there are 2 things they are talking about. So हम जो life और world के बारे में सोचते हैं ये 2 factors से related है. 1, inherited religious and ethical conception. So एक inherited religious मतलब जो हम inherit करते आए हैं, जो हम पुराने लोगों से लेते आए हैं और जो शायद religious ethical conception के ऊपर based है, क्या सही है और क्या गलत, right? The other sort of investigation, और दूसरा वो जो बोल रहा है उसको scientific, मतलब जो कि साइंस से रिलेटेड है. सो 2 चीजों की यहाँ पर बात कर रहा है. मैं आपको यहाँ पर शॉर्ट के अंदर सबको समझाता जाऊंगा. सो यहाँ पर वो 2 चीजों की बात कर रहा है. एक जो कि इनहेरिटेड रिलीजियस प्रिंसिपल है, समथिंग जिसका रिलीजियस से लेना देना है, और दूसरा जिसका उसका साइंटिफिक से लेना देना है. ये दोनों प्रोडक्ट से मिलकर हमारा जो फिलोसफिकल कंसेप्शन है वो, और नॉट फिलोसफिकल, जहां जिसको हम फिलोसफिकल कंसेप्शन बोल रहे हैं वो ये है. Using this word in the broadest sense, they are talking about scientific. Individual philosophers, जो philosophers हैं, individual philosophers have differed widely in regard to the proportions in which these 2 factors enter into the system. So ये जो philosophers हैं, ये जो लोग हैं, ये बहुत ज्यादा differ करते हैं दोनों चीजों में, उस explanation पे या फिर इस explanation पे, right? ये दोनों चीजों से differ करते हैं. अब वो क्या बोल रहा है? Philosophy is a word which has been used in many ways, some narrower, some wider. कई wider sense के अंदर use करते हैं और कई हम लोग narrower sense में use करते हैं. I as in जिसने ये passage लिखा है, I propose to use it in a very wide sense, which I will now try to explain. और author बोल रहा है कि मैं इसको wide sense के अंदर लूंगा और जो मैं अभी आपको explain करने जा रहा हूं. Let's understand what author will explain. Philosophy, as I shall understand the word, is something between theology and science. Guys, very important thing which he has just mentioned, because ये आप लोगों को पता होना चाहिए. वो बोल रहा है कि theology और science के बीच में, very sorry for that, theology और science के बीच में जो बीच का gray area है, that is something philosophy is all about, right? So theology, when we talk about the study of various religious texts, एंड यहां पर हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं साइंस की. सो रिलीजन और साइंस के बीच में दैट एरिया इज कॉल्ड फिलॉसफी, लाइक थियोलॉजी. सो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंटली यहां से हमारे को एक बहुत अच्छा मेन आइडिया मिल जाएगा करने के लिए. सो दिस इज द लाइन व्हिच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, यू शुड नो, राइट? लाइक थियोलॉजी, इट कंसिस्ट ऑफ स्पेक्यूलेशंस ऑन मैटर. सो वो अब बता रहा है कि इन दोनों का बीच का हिस्सा फिलॉसफी क्यों है. वो कह रहा है थियोलॉजी के जैसे थियोलॉजी करता है, थियोलॉजी के जैसे ये भी स्पेक्यूलेशन करता है, बिकॉज थियोलॉजी श्योर नहीं है, किसी ने देखा नहीं है, बट ये भी स्पेक्यूलेशन करता है जिसके ऊपर उसको डेफिनेट नॉलेज नहीं है. लाइक थियोलॉजी इज कंट्री ऑफ स्पेक्यूलेशन ऑन मैटर एज to which definite knowledge so far has been unascertainable. अभी तक ascertain नहीं है. So something which is ascertainable, उसके ऊपर जब हम टिप्पणी दे रहे हैं, उसके ऊपर when we are commenting, that is what we are talking about theology thing. But like science, so first author is talking about how it is related with theology, and now about science. But with science, it appeals to human reason rather than to authority. He's talking about that in science it relates more with the reason. Which relates? Philosophy relates. Okay? All definite knowledge, so I should contend, belongs to science. अब वो क्या बोल रहा है? जितनी भी definitive knowledge है, उसको philosophy को अगर credit देना चाहिए तो science को देना चाहिए. All dogmas, मतलब पुरानी belief, all dogmas towards surpass this definite knowledge belong to theology. He is again reiterating of what he has written before, the conclusion which he has given. He has given some conclusion on the top कि ये होता है, अब उसके ऊपर ये premise दे रहा है. So this is what it is very important to know what exactly is the premise, what exactly is the conclusion. We'll talk about this in the verbal logic section, right? But between theology and science, there is a no man land, and that's what he's trying to explain, that between theology and science, there is a no man's land. Exposed to attack from both sides, this no man land is philosophy. So that's what he's talking about. The इन दोनों के बीच का जो area है, that is something which he is calling as philosophy. Almost all the questions of most interest to speculative minds are such as science cannot answer. अब वो क्या बोलना चाह रहा है, वापस मैं इस पे आता हूं. वो कह रहा है almost all the questions of most interest to speculative minds, जो लोग speculate करते हैं, are such as science cannot answer. वो सारे questions वो हैं जो science answer नहीं कर सकता. Egg came first or hen come first? Tree came first or seed came first? We don't know, right? And the confident answer of theologians no longer seems so convincing as they did in the former centuries. So there are two things. First, the speculative minds, they are very sure that science cannot answer, so we speculate. And then on the other side, there are something which theologians are so confident of, seems to be there in the former centuries. Is the world divided into mind and the matter? Now, अब वो questions पूछ रहा है, is the world divided into mind and the matter? What is mind and what is matter? Define that. Okay? Is mind subject to matter, or is it from independent powers? They are talking about has the university any unity or a purpose? Is it evolving towards some goal? Are there really laws of the nature? So all those things they are talking about. So it is very important for you guys to understand that right from here, if I talk about this, right from here till, let's say, somewhat like here, somewhat like this. So right from here till here, so these are the things. If you got the main idea, I am repeating it again, if you got the main idea, I don't think that you have to read all those things, because these are just the questions which he is saying. These are just the question which he is saying, that these are the things which one cannot answer to. Right? So this is what they are saying. And just to reiterating the fact that it is that gray area, it is that no man's land. To such questions, no answers can be found in the laboratory. Theologians have professed to give answers. They tried to give answer all too definite, but their definitiveness causes modern minds to view them in suspicion. They tried, because if it is there, it's not there in the science, they tried to prove it, but again, the modern minds, people in millennials, basically to view them as suspicion. The studying of these questions, if not the answering of them, is the business of philosophy. So philosophy probably will not be able to answer them, but at least will study them, and that's what philosophy have to do. So this is what you need to understand. And if you see the first slide, roughly 30% of the thing which I have said is we don't have to read, and there are no tough jargons as such in this slide. Let's move to the next. Why then, you may ask, waste time on such insoluble problems? Then why philosophy trying to find the answers? To this, one may answer as a historian. So one will try to answer as a historian or as an individual facing a terror of cosmic loneliness. Someone who is a historian or someone who is facing the terror of cosmic loneliness, he will try to find the answer, right? To answer of historian. So how historian will answer? To answer of the historian insofar as I am capable of giving it. So to answer as historian, how I am capable of doing it will appear in the course of this work. And this is what I will be talking about today. Again, the premise, he's setting the premise. Now, again, if you see one thing, now the passage is about to end. The passage is about to end. And what he's saying, that he will talk about this in this work. So, socho, work kitna bada hoga. It's not that uska work yahan par khatam ho gaya, but cat, they extract passages from this work, and we have to understand in those 700, 800 words that what exactly author want to say. So, this is what we need to understand. Let's continue. Ever since man became capable of free speculation. Now, what he's explaining is, जब से आदमी जो है, मनुष्य जो है, became capable of free speculation. He can speculate whatever he wants. Their actions is innumerable important respect have depended upon their theories as to the world. So, as we have started speculating, actions are innumerable. There are many actions which you can expect, and most importantly, these respects have depended upon their theories. What theories they believe in, these actions are dependent on that. And human life, as to what is good and what is evil. What exactly is good, what is evil. So based on these theories, their actions are there. This is as true in the present day as at any former time. And since the time we started speculating the things, and this is what they are saying, there are many explanations to this, and this is true in the present day also, and it was true in the former time also. To understand an age or a nation, we must understand its philosophy. तो क्या बोल रहे हैं अब? अगर हमारे को किसी का age या किसी का nation को समझना है, हमें उनकी philosophy समझनी पड़ेगी, right? If you want to understand a nation, if you want to, let's say, understand some ideologies, if you want to understand some person, you have to understand their philosophy. And it's a opposite way around also. And to understand its philosophy, we must ourselves to be in some degree philosophers. And if we want to understand the philosophy, we know what it is. So we also need to be philosophers. There is here a reciprocal causation. So there is a reciprocal causation also. The circumstances of man's lives do much to determine the philosophy. So the way man is living, it determines the philosophy, but conversely, their philosophy also determine how they will live. So it is both way around. There is also, however, a more personal answer. There is a more personal answer to that. What is it? Science tells us what we can know, but what we can know is little. Science will only tell us what we can know. हम क्या जान सकते हैं, हम किन चीजों पे studies कर सकते हैं, but what we can know is very little, that is very small. And if we forget how much we cannot know, we may become insensitive to many things of very great importance. So if science won't be telling us that we know very little, and if we just stop our mind or will be ignorant about certain things, we probably tend to be insensitive to many things which might be of great importance. Theology, on the other hand, so he's again talking about the science and the theology, the no man's land. Theology, on the other hand, induces a dogmatic belief that we have knowledge. So theology is giving us that belief that yes, we have knowledge, we can do whatever we want. We don't only have to depend on science. So we have knowledge where in fact we have ignorance, but in fact we have that ignorance, and by doing so generate a kind of impertinent insolence towards the universe. Uncertainty in the presence of the vivid hopes, the lively hopes and the fears is painful but must be endured if we wish to live without the support of comforting fairy tales. But we have to live with it without the support of those comforting fairy tales. It is not good either to forget the questions that philosophy asks. So philosophy asks some questions. It is not good to forget that or to persuade ourselves that we have found some indubitable answers to them. Indubitable का मतलब होता है some convincing answers to them. To teach how to live without certainty and yet without being paralyzed by hesitation is perhaps the chief thing that philosophy in our age can still do for those who study it. That was a beautiful passage of philosophy which was there, right? Okay, now let's talk about the question. That is what a very important thing is all about. To sum it up, it was all about that no man's land, about the science, about the theology, and what philosophy is trying to explain. Philosophy is trying to explain those questions and not trying to explain. Philosophy is kind of want to discuss those questions, and why to discuss, that's what author was talking about. Okay, let's go to the questions. Question number 1. The purpose of philosophy is to do what? I'm sure you must have marked the answer. Let's eliminate. We have talked about elimination a lot. Okay. The purpose of philosophy is to. Now the first thing it should be according to passage. According to passage, no outside gyan. No outside gyan, no outside knowledge. Okay. Reduce uncertainty and chaos. Not the context we are talking about. The purpose of the philosophy is to not reduce the chaos. We are not even mentioning about the chaos, right? Eliminate it. Let's go to the second option. Help us to cope with uncertainty and ambiguity. Yes, uncertainty is there. That's why we have not even eliminated here in the first option also. So uncertainty is there. We don't know. We don't know what to do, kaise karna hai, why, and all those things. And ambiguity, whatever we are doing. So let's say if we are talking about those lines, if we are talking about the science will only give us the answer to the how little we know. But when we depend on theology, it's like if we are dependent on how little we know, we are insensitive or we are ignorant about many other things which we know, the knowledge, right? So yes, he's trying to explain that. It can be my answer for sure. But let's talk about option number 3. 3 is saying, help us to find explanations of uncertainty. No. If we are talking about philosophy is helping us to, so let's move back to study of these questions, if not answering of them. The studying of these questions, if not answering them, is the business of philosophy. And that's what we are talking about in question number 1, when they say to help us find explanation of certainty. No, it is discussing. It is only discussing. Not sure whether it will be able to explain the uncertainty. Reduce the terror of cosmic loneliness. Many a times we get carried away. This is the trap which paper setter keeps for you. We just kind of carried away that this is the line which is there from the passage. Yes, it will be my answer. I'll not go to the passage because sir said that aap wapis passage mein mat jao. But hold on guys, just see at least the question. And when I'm talking about the purpose of the philosophy, you have to see the passage in totality. Not just 1 or 2 lines. The purpose of philosophy, which means it's nothing but we are talking about the main idea. It can be your main idea. Then second thing is the inference. It is the main idea. It is the inference. Everything is there in this question. The purpose of the philosophy is to do what? When I'm talking about reduce the terror of cosmic loneliness, let's talk about it. So here it was. So to this one answer as a historian or as an individual facing the terror of cosmic loneliness, too narrow. They are only talking about one individual here. So again, that is something which is not giving me the main idea, or which is not giving me the whole, seeing the passage in totality. It is just mentioned at single instance, that too for an individual. So that's why I will mark option number 2 as an answer. It helps us to cope up with the uncertainty and ambiguity. I am sure you are getting it, how I am eliminating the options. If you have any discussions, you can get in touch with me on Telegram group, or you can get in touch with me, or you can just write in the comment section below. I'll be happy to answer that. Okay, let's go to the second question. Based on the passage, here we go. Based on this passage, what can be concluded? So the first question, when I'm talking about the first question, to be very honest with you, if you have understood the main idea properly, I don't think so you have to go back to the passage. So again and again I tell you, It's okay, fact-based question might be easy, but it will waste a lot of time. So inference-based questions are kind of, when you understand the main idea, you don't have to go to the passage and can be solved, right? Based on the passage, what can be concluded about the relationship between philosophy and science? Don't go to the passage. I don't think so. Let's discuss here itself. What can be concluded about the relationship between philosophy and science? The two are antagonistic. So antagonistic, basically we are talking about these two are opposite. Are they? What they have talked about is that we are talking about theology here. We are talking about science here. And then we are talking about philosophy here. Philosophy is linked with theology on certain aspect. Philosophy will link with science on certain aspect. So this philosophy is trying to explain what science can't explain and what this theology can't explain. That's what philosophy is trying to explain. So we can't say these two are antagonistic, they are opposite, right? That's point number one. Second, the two are complementary. The two are complementary. The things which science can't answer, philosophy is trying to do that. Can we answer? Let's see. Okay, there is no relation. No author ने बिल्कुल बताया है कि on one side it is this, on other side it is this, and philosophy is trying to bridge that gap, right? Philosophy is trying to bridge that gap. Philosophy derives from science? No. Philosophy is trying to explaining that gap. It's not deriving from that science, it's trying to explaining that gap. So I will say the two are complementary. Again giving you the reason why these two are complementary, because हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं that no man's land which science is not able to answer. Philosophy will try to answer that, and that's why I'm talking about that they both complement each other, right? That's why option 2 should be the answer for this particular question. Okay, let's move to the next question. From reading the passage, what can be concluded about the profession of the author? He most likely not to be what? वो एक चीज definitely नहीं हो सकता. Let's go to option number 1. Historian. Can he be historian or he can't be? Let's move to the passage. एक बार passage पे जाते हैं. Passage is talking about, if you see here, to answer, here we go, I'm just highlighting for you the answer of the historian in so far as I am capable of giving it. The answer of historian in so far I am capable of giving it is giving me that clue that he can be, not sure, he can be, and the question is most likely not to be what? The second option there is given is a philosopher, right? Is a philosopher. When you see overall passage in totality, it can be philosophy for sure, because right from the time when he started to talk about, let me talk about this. So let me go back. When he talked about philosophy is the word which has been used in many ways, some wider, some narrower. I propose to use in a wide sense, and which I will now try to explain. This phrase is giving me that feeling that he can be philosopher as well. So I can't say he's not likely to be philosopher or a historian, because these two lines are mentioning that. Let me go to the third, which says scientist. When I'm talking about scientist, and the fourth option is theologian. So between scientist and theologian, the problem has to be there. But if you see the passage, author is sometimes kind of questioning those theology things. Let me give you an example. Theology on the other hand induces a dogmatic belief that we have knowledge wherein we fact have ignorance, and by doing so generate a kind of insolence towards the universe. So with this we are talking about he may be kind of not pro towards theologian, so I can say he definitely won't be theologian. And for science, he's not talking exactly negative of it. He's not talking exactly negative for this, so he can be that scientist, but theologian not for sure. And that's why we are marking option number 4, that he is most probably not likely to be a theologian. He can be a historian, philosopher, or a scientist. Okay, let's move to the next. The next question is, according to the author, which of the following statement about the nature of the universe must be definitely true? ऑथर ने नेचर ऑफ द यूनिवर्स के लिए एक ऐसी चीज जो कि डेफिनेटली ट्रू हो, very confusing sometimes when you are giving the CAT paper. Okay. The universe has unity. Nowhere in the passage. Let me go back to the passage again for you guys. If I'm going back to the passage, let's see if there is anything which we are talking about that universe has a unity or something. Nowhere it is given that universe has a unity, right? So that's why we are eliminating option 1. We are not talking about that universe has a unity or not. If I talk about option number 2, the universe has a purpose. Again, not given. Not given. Universe has a purpose or universe has a unity. In fact, if you go to those questions, I'll just go back to the questions. ये सारे क्वेश्चंस के अंदर has the universe any unity or purpose? We don't know. Has the universe has unity or purpose? We don't know. So it's still that question mark. It is still that gray area. If it is still that question mark or a gray area, we can't be very sure that universe has a unity or the universe has a purpose. ये दोनों चीजें हम लोग नहीं बोल सकते हैं. The universe is evolving towards a goal. Again, that's a question mark, not given. Again, it was a question mark there also. Are we approaching towards goal? Again, a question mark. These are the questions which we need to answer, and that's why answer should be none of the above. I hope you guys are getting it after so many videos on, let's say, reading comprehension. थोड़ा बहुत confidence आ रहा होगा आपको question solve करने के लिए. And the last on the list is the passage is from political science and history. It is from political science and history. And for this, I'll just go to the slide. So this is slide number 1, slide number 2, and that's it, slide number 3. So there are 3 slides. Yeah, there are 3 slides. I'm giving you 8 minutes. So you can pause the video, take 8 minutes and solve these questions. Read this passage now. Okay, I'm sure you must have read the passage, slightly longer one. But again, as I said, there is a reason behind why I'm giving you those long passages for eclectic reading to, remove that nausea wala feeling that, oh, I don't like reading these passages. You have to remove that, right? So the first passage we have seen was about political science. We have solved some of the questions. The passage was easy, right? I would say yes, it was easy. The questions, you can say the moderate ones, right? Let's move to the next, which is political science and history. Since World War II, the nation state, so the main crux of the main idea of this whole paragraph, we are talking about the nation state. It's a kind of an ideology. It's a kind of ideology that beneath the nation state, right? It's a political ideology, I would say, that how nation and the state, how they work together, right? How they perform, right? Some of the duties which they need to, and how they are ignorant. Is it really working or not? How in congruence they can actually work. So, since World War II, the nation state has been regarded with approval by every political system and every ideology. So, what they are saying, World War से अभी तक, मतलब जब तक भी ये passage है, it is approved by every political system and every ideology in the name of the modernization in the West. So, how they have approved in the name of the modernization in the West. So I just mark it again. In the name of the modernized West के अंदर modernization के नाम पर, West के अंदर modernization के नाम पर, Eastern bloc के अंदर socialism के नाम पर. So we are talking about modernization in West, socialism is in Eastern, development in the third world. So when we went into the third world, we talk about the development. It was expected to guarantee the happiness of the individuals as citizens and of the peoples as society. So they are talking about that these were the reasons why nation state have been accepted by every political system. However, so when the word however is there, we are very sure something coming up which we need to understand properly, and that's what you need to do when you are appearing for CAT examination. These are the words you need to take care of, because there is something else which is coming up, or whatever author is trying to say at this point of time, now there is something opposite which is coming up. However, the state today appears to have broken down. So whatever acceptance was there by every ideologies, it has been broken down now. So the however thing or the opposite thing, I have just marking in the red. So all these things have broken down in many parts of the world. It has failed to guarantee. How it is broken? Because it has failed to guarantee either security or social justice. So we are talking about happiness of the individual people. यहाँ पर हम बोल रहे हैं security or social justice. The state or the state, nation state is incapable of doing that and has been unable to prevent either international wars or civil wars. They have been not able to prevent the international and the civil wars, which means with countries outside and within country also. Disturbed by the claims of community within it. So there are communities within the nation state. They are also creating those nuances when they are talking about disturbed by the claims of the communities within it. The nation state tries to repress their demand. So whatever demand these communities are asking for, whether it is a nuances or something else, we don't know, but whatever their demands are, ideally it has to be positive towards the people. The passage how it is constructed, obviously the communities, it is giving me that idea that communities demanding are not that bad. They are demanding something for the good which nation state promised, and they are not able to do that. So they are trying to repress their demand and to proclaim partisan secularism. The state can use its powerful resources to reject the demands of communities. So what they are talking about is to repress their demand and to proclaim itself as the only guarantee of security of all. So they are repressing their demand and they are proclaiming themselves that they are the only ones who will guarantee the security. In the name of nation unity, territorial integrity, equity for all citizens, the state are using every possible ways and may even go as far as genocide to ensure that order prevails. So the nation state, this is how in the bad shape it is, which was once accepted by all the political ideologies. The first introduction is giving me the context of what passage. Guys, you should also anticipate. आपको anticipate भी करना पड़ेगा reading, right? As one observes the awakening of communities in different parts of the world, one cannot ignore the context in which identity issues arise. So what now he's saying that the communities are basically disturbed. Communities are kind of demanding the security, or we are talking about the happiness, or talking about, taking their rights. But why? Why the context in which identity issues arise? Why these issues are arising at the first place in a nation state? This thing. It is no longer a context of sealed frontier. So what he's saying is, it's no longer a sealed frontier, एक छुपी हुई बात नहीं है, and isolated region. So now it is not talking, we are not talking about sealed frontiers. We are not talking about isolated regions. Its identity issue is not coming from that. So this is not that छुपी हुई बात which I was mentioning. The context which they have mentioned is that it's not about they are sealed, वो उनको कहीं जगह रोक दिया गया है. It's not about the isolated region, but is one of the integrated global system. It is the integrated global system, how across the globe everyone is connected. In a reaction to this trend towards globalization, individuals and communities every year are voicing their desire to exist, to use their power of creation and to play an active role in national and international life. So it's not about that they are restricted to one place. This is not about isolation. It's not about कि उनकी rights भुला दी गई हैं. It's all about the globalization, because people or the communities in different parts of the world are connected because of globalization, because of trade, because of many other things not mentioned here. I'm just trying to give you an example. So that's what they are trying to say. There are two ways in which the current upsurge in demands for the recognition of identities can be looked at. And now what they are talking about, that why the upsurge. So first, there is a problem. So in the first paragraph, they are talking about there is a problem. There is a problem of the communities. Why? Why the problem is? Because of globalization. So why is globalization? And now why it is surging up? Why it is surging up? Because on the positive side, so they are talking about two sides here. The positive side is the efforts by certain population group to assert their identity can be regarded as liberation movement. The positive side is we are liberating, right? Challenging oppression and injustice. We are not taking oppression anymore. Oppression का मतलब क्या होता है? जिसको बोलते हैं उत्पीड़ना, right? We are not taking oppression anymore. What these groups are doing, they are proclaiming that they are different, rediscovering the roots of their culture, from where we are, what is our culture, or strengthening the group solidarity. Solidarity means that camaraderie, that brotherhood. So these are the things which is taken on the positive side. Many accordingly be seen as the legitimate attempts to escape from their states of subjugation and enjoy a certain measure of dignity. The way they are living till this point of time, subjugate till this point of time, they want to live with dignity. That's the positive side of upsurge in these movements. On the downside, however, so two sides here. The first, we are talking about the positive sides. So this is what we are talking about, the positive sides. And on the negative sides, downside में क्या हुआ है उसको हम लोग देख लेते हैं. On the downside, however, the militant action, militant का मतलब that hostile, वो लड़ाई करने वाला जो होता है, that hostile action for recognition. So it's not, they are not doing it peacefully, they are doing it with hostility. So the hostile action for recognition tends to make such groups more deeply entrenched in their attitude to make their cultural compartments even more watertight. So the way they are doing, the way these groups are getting connected and the hostile measures which they are taking, they are basically entrenched in their attitude. They are now entrenched, वो अपने आप के अंदर के भीतर उस अपने आप को वो बहुत ज़्यादा watertight बना रहे हैं, so that no one can pass through. The assertion of identity then starts turning into self-absorption, and slowly and gradually what is happening, because when they are very closely associated, when they are very closely getting together, that's what are making them self-absorption and isolation, and they are liable to slide into the intolerance of others. They will not even intolerant other and towards idea of ethnic cleansing, xenophobia and violence. So what they are doing is they are talking about ethnic cleansing, they are talking about xenophobia, because you are not allowing any stranger to be a part of you, right? So you are kind of getting into the self-isolation kind of thing. That is negative side of it. So this is what the first slide was talking about. Next, whereas continuous variation among people. So I'll just quickly summarize. We talked about problem, globalization, upsurge, positive side, negative sides.